I don't think it is a hot take to say that the traditional From Software bosses are by far the most beloved and liked bosses and definitely my favorites as well. However, I do like some variety in my games. That's why I really appreciate that From Software is sometimes branching out and trying different approaches towards boss design. There is the occasional puzzle boss, then there are the bosses where it's just a horde of enemies, and then there are the gimmick bosses. There are really bad gimmick bosses, and I think we all know which bosses we can include in this category. And then there are really good gimmick bosses. And today I want to talk about my favorite by far, Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy from the most recent Souls game, Elden Ring. And in this video I want to explore what makes Rykard such an amazing and the best done gimmick boss by far. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like and subscribe and support this channel, it helps out massively, and I will be talking about a lot more bosses in the future. With all this said, let's get into the video. Rykard is a demigod offspring who is lord of the Volcano Manor and the Recusants and is rebelling against the Earth Tree. He might have started with a noble intention, rebelling against an order he considers unjust. However, down the path he became corrupted by the power and is now too far gone. This is just a very short summary of Rykard's lore. If you want further information on this, I would recommend great lore videos like Smoughtown's here. What I really like is just how the boss fight is presented in game. The arena looks incredible, it looks like you're in the depths of hell with giant chandeliers. The floor looks incredible, all scattered with bones. It's very amazing and impressive. The design is just absolutely incredible and probably my favorite FromSoft design of all time. It's literally an apostle from Berserk put into Elden Ring and it's just so amazing. If you want further breakdown, watch some of these amazing videos. Like most tracks, the music is also really good. I like the slow and steady build up in phase 1 and the climax payoff in phase 2 is one of my favorite parts of the Elden Ring soundtrack. It's super amazing. The thing that this boss does the best is that he actually feels like a boss with great mechanics. This boss is not defined by his gimmick, he is still defined by his moveset, and I really love that. In phase 1 you fight the Great Serpent. He mostly does very easy to dodge head swipes, slightly delayed grab attacks. The poison spit can be dodged by just running and jumping away. However, you should also beware of your positioning because if you're caught against the wall it can be very tricky to dodge. And the most problematic attack for many people is the earthquake attack. There are two ways to deal with this attack. On casual runs, if I don't really want to try hard against this boss, I just use a shield and block most of its damage, and if you do this you receive only very minor chip damage. However, if I have to dodge it fully, I just play locked off for this boss because it is very possible, and the moment I see him burrowing his head into the ground and preparing for the earthquake, I just run sideways and jump at the end. It's very consistent and has been working very well for me. Phase 2 is the way more fun part, however. He starts using his enormous sword and uses it mostly for very delayed slashes. I love this attack where he drags the sword, allowing you for a jumping R2 punish. It's really fun and always feels amazing to pull off. Besides that, he has the Skull Rain in phase 2, which is an attack that looks absolutely amazing and cinematic. However, the way you deal with it is not super fun because if he actually manages to pull it off, you have to run around for roughly 20 to 30 seconds because you just can't dodge all of this here. The best way to deal with this attack, to be honest, is just stunning him out of it with your weapon art. My favorite mechanical part of this fight, however, in phase 2 around half health, he starts using the snake bite attacks again, doing some really awesome mix-ups, which definitely caught me off guard quite a lot. Unlike, say, Yorm or Storm King, this boss has a moveset that's really fun to engage with. And that's not where it stops. The best aspect about this gimmick boss is the weapon. Unlike the Storm Ruler, you just charge up and do a very slow attack that does a lot of damage. The Serpent Hunter has a full fleshed out moveset. You can do jumping attacks, you have an Ash of War, you have charge attacks, you have light attack combos. It's super fun to play with it, and a part of me wishes you could use this moveset outside of the Rykard arena. However, obviously that is not possible because the range would just make it way too OP. I was not 100% sure how I would do this part of the video, basically comparing all these 4 gimmick bosses, so I just decided I would explain why I prefer some and combine it into a ranking. So starting at number 4, we have the Storm King. The Storm King, especially in the remake, is a really cinematic and epic fight, and I enjoy doing him a lot. However, the weapon sometimes has very weird accuracy issues, which is really annoying, and the damage also doesn't scale on New Game Plus, which makes these fights very tedious and long on New Game Plus cycles. Besides that, the Storm King is mechanically not that engaging. You just hide behind cover until his assault is over and blast him 2 to 3 times with the Storm Ruler afterwards. It's fun, it's cool, and a really awesome spectacle, but that's about it. Number 3, I have Yorm the Giant. Yorm the Giant is a very cool looking boss, and definitely one of the most hyped up ones in the game. Does it live up to that potential? Probably not. However, I still think he is overall a really fun experience. Fighting him with Storm Ruler was fun a few times, however, it's gotten quite a bit stale, and that's why he's number 3 here. The moveset is pretty fun on its own, but Storm Ruler just makes him way too easy. I like Yorm as a boss, I think he's good, but he's not a very good gimmick boss. He works way better if I fight him with a regular weapon. Number 2 is the Divine Dragon from Sekiro. In my opinion, one of the best spectacle bosses made by From Software. The design is amazing. I love dodging his attacks. Deflecting lightning always feels amazing in Sekiro, and the music is also one of the best in Sekiro. However, phase 1 is kinda lame. It exists. I don't really hate phase 1, but it's just not that great, and I think he's also mechanically not the best boss. I will mention, however, the final part of this boss where you need to deflect all the wind slashes is super fun and genuinely very underrated. So yeah, Divine Dragon is a great boss. And my number 1 boss, obviously, from the gimmick bosses would be Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. The Serpent Hunter is just by far the best gimmick weapon, as explained. It's super fun to use. I love the moveset of it. And the boss is just taste-wise my favorite. I love snakes. That's why I'm also very excited for Mesmer. It's just an amazing snake apostle berserk design. The moveset is really fun to deal with for me, and it's just a really cool and memorable boss. One of my favorite moments on my first run, and yeah, I mean, I need to mention this cutscene. It's just perfection. The voice acting is also just absolutely incredible. One of my favorite voices in Elden Ring as well. I really don't feel like I should count him because Armored Core 6 is very different from Souls, but Iceworm would be 3rd place here. I don't like the Iceworm as much as the Divine Dragon or Rykard, but I still think it's a really fun boss and a very great story moment. With that said, let's get to the conclusion. Now, with all this praise I have given Rykard, do I think he's a perfect boss? No, I don't think so. First off, even though I like the Earthquake attack by now because I learned it, it's very unintuitive to learn. It doesn't work like Godfrey's big AoE because it's way too tight to really outrun it without knowing what to do. It's not telegraphed as well, but you can't also jump over it because it's just an AoE way too big. So I think it's a very cruel attack to learn, and even though I figured out you could block it, I see if someone didn't, it can be very frustrating. Besides that, my personal biggest issue, I really dislike the Skull Rain in Phase 2 if he spams it, and trust me, he will spam it. If you're not able to interrupt him, sometimes you have to run away 2 to 3 times. I think I had a fight where I was worse at the game where he did it up to 5 times, and that's just not really fun. I think it should be like a super attack he only does once per fight. But those are just some very minor nitpicks and don't mean I like the boss any less. I think he's still a fantastic boss, and this brings me to my final conclusion. I hope From Software tries to push this boss archetype even further in the future games. I feel the same about all the other different boss types. Ganks, puzzle bosses, horde enemies. I just like a bit of variety in these games, and even though the 1v1 duel against epic bosses are definitely my favorite, I hope they can make bosses on that level but in the different archetypes one day. It would be really cool. However, yeah, I think they came very close with Rykard, and the closest out of any gimmick boss by far in Elden Ring. I just hope this is just the start of a very bright gimmick boss future. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope even if you disagree, you can understand my perspective. This is a very interesting topic because I can definitely see some people preferring bosses like the Divine Dragon, Ice Worm, or even Yorm. However, I still think overall Rykard is the most popular one, as I saw in the poll I did a few days ago. But yeah, with that said, thanks again for supporting my content. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and share. It means a lot and it's greatly appreciated. With all of that said, have a nice day and see you next time. Bye.